Thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasiros. I talk about politics, sports, and entertainment to keep you well rounded what's going on around the world. If you don't like hearing the truth, definitely don't tune into this channel. So let's get started today. So I've been saying this for years. America and Americans have let the atheists, the weirdos, the pedos, the non Christians, the ADL, the pro Zionist lobby to eliminate God, Christianity from the United States of America. From our school system to our churches to the music we listen to. You see all these shows on TV. Back in the day, you couldn't even curse on modern day TV. Now it's just gay love 24 hours a day with all types of curse words and all types of other degenerate behavior. And it needs to stop. And it's destroying the moral fabric of America's society. It's destroying us as a country. We are being destroyed from within. And you know who I blame? I don't blame these other groups who cry and scream racism or oppression every time they hear the word God or they see a Christian movie or they hear the name Jesus. I don't blame these morons. I blame Christians and Catholics for going along with the garbage and being so weak that you would let a bunch of pedophiles in your classroom to try to convince your kids to cut their penises off and take puberty blockers than to stand up for your children, to stand up for your country and say, enough is enough already. Take your weirdo bullshit and get out of here. We're not going for this. But instead, parents don't care. Americans don't care. Everybody takes the attitude, oh, what can we do? We don't want to be called a racist by all these other groups because they're trying to silence what they're trying to do is silence your God. They're trying to silence the God that you worship. The ADL wants to take Christmas out of everything. They don't want your children to have Christmas plays. They don't want your children to have Christmas music. They don't want Christmas music being sung anywhere. They don't want to hear the words Merry Christmas. You know what I have to say to the ADL? F you. Who the F do you think you are? You know, America's greatest ally, the narrative that we've been brainwashed to all believe that Israel is America's greatest ally. But all these big Jewish organizations in America, they're so offended by the words Merry Christmas and they don't want to hear Christmas in anything. And then you have all these other groups that join in. The atheists, the Muslims, the non-Christians, everybody joins in and what happens? What happens? The weak Christians and Catholics bow down like we always do. Okay, you win. It's your way. Go ahead, tell my little Johnny to cut his dick off. Tell my daughter that's a tomboy. You know what? You need puberty blockers because you're a tomboy. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's disgusting. It's vile. It's satanic. And I blame the Christians and the Catholics. I blame the weakness of you. I blame Christian pastors whose only agenda in life these days is to push the narrative that Israel is America's greatest ally because they're getting paid by Israel to say these things. They're getting paid to support the LGBTQ mafia. And the Bible is clear as day on homosexuality. It says homosexuality is a sin. Just like gambling's a sin, just like hating somebody's a sin, just like stealing and murdering is a sin. It's a sin. We all sin. But the only difference is this. If I go to church, I'm repenting my sins. Now you have gay pastors that stand up in Christian churches and Catholic churches, and they're preaching from the pulpit that their lifestyle is acceptable. Here's my advice to you if you want to be a gay pastor. Start your own church, have the state sanction you. You can have gay marriages. You can do whatever you want inside that church. It's none of anybody else's business. Do whatever you want. But you know why you won't do that? You know why you have to take your sexuality issues or who you're into sexually and cram it down everybody's throat? Because you have no respect for anybody else. You have no respect for boundaries. That's like me going on the pulpit every Sunday because I play lotto tickets and saying, hey, get me a quick, when everybody leaves here, chip in and buy me a pick six ticket. Hopefully we all win and I'll spread the money out around the Congress. It's the same thing. If you're a pastor, nobody expects you to be perfect. But to be an open homosexual preaching from the pulpit with your rainbow flag draped around your priest clothing, you don't think you're crossing a boundary there? And everybody can pretend like it's not going on. Everybody can put the blinders on and be afraid to say what I'm saying. That's fine. You're going to have to answer to God. We're all going to have to stand before God, and God's going to ask you, how come you didn't say anything? Wait, you're standing before me now and you're telling me all these good things I did, but when this issue arose, you bowed and you quivered like a coward. And this brings me to my next point. You ever notice that when all these weirdos, the purple-haired freaks, the LGBTQ mafia, the non-Christians, non-Catholics, whoever the F you are, when they go to these Middle Eastern countries, they always know how to act, right? They know how to act because they know that's one thing that I really respect about Islam. They're not going for the bullshit. They're just not going for it. These Muslims in other countries and the Muslims here that are trying to take over America, they must sit back and just, Zaran Mandami, he must just sit back every night and just laugh himself to sleep, like how dumb Christians and Catholics are in America. Because do you ever think in their countries, if you went there and you said, I'm a Christian pastor, I'm a Catholic pastor, we believe in homosexuality, we believe in telling 8-year-olds to chop their penises off, we believe in abortion, but yet I'm a pastor. Do you know what would happen to you if you took your bullshit into their country? It's so funny. And then you're all bougie and you're all proud, like, oh, I visited Dubai and I know how to act because, I don't want to get in prison. So all of a sudden they're afraid. They're afraid to pull their bullshit. And that's the thing. In America, they have no boundaries, they have no fear. And that's the problem. That's the problem. We all put up with the bullshit. I don't put up with the bullshit at all. You could do however you want to live your life. That's fine. It's really none of my business. But when you start taking your belief system and cramming it down my throat and turning everything that is pure and good natured into filth and vileness and disgustingness, I have the right to tell you that I don't agree at all. And I don't agree at all. You shouldn't be in the church with your rainbow flags on, doing all the other, hey, if you're gay, that's fine. You want to go to a normal church, that's fine. Go to church, pray like everybody else, ask for forgiveness like everybody else. You don't need to be standing at the pulpit talking about how there's nothing wrong with homosexuality and get an abortion and, we can't play Christmas music because we don't want to offend other races and other religions. That's not how this goes. That's not how this works. And people, I know me, I'm getting fed up with it. I'm fed up with it all. I don't say happy holidays. I say Merry Christmas. You don't like it, you're offended, F you. Right before Christmas, I was in a store. An older guy, 67, 70 years old, he told me happy holidays. I said Merry Christmas. He said happy holidays. I said Merry Christmas. He said it again. I said, listen, take your happy holidays and shove it up your effing you know what. His response to me was that I was a punk. My response to him was this: you look like you're 70 years old. Nobody is ever going to convince me that when you were growing up, that your father said happy holidays to anybody. The only punk is you. The only coward is you. And he was like red and he was raging, but at the same time, you could tell he was thinking about what he was saying. And I don't like getting like that with older people, but I'm not going for the bullshit. I wasn't going to do anything physically to him, but it's Merry Christmas. And if you want to confront me about saying Merry Christmas, you're going to get the same response every effing time. I don't care. The Bible is very specific who pastors are supposed to be. I know in Catholics, it's supposed to be a man. They can't be married. They can't be homosexual. I mean, sure, there are plenty of them that they're gay. They're living an alternate lifestyle. They kind of keep it to themselves. It's kind of quiet. They can't be women. That's what the Bible says. That's not what I'm saying. That's what the Bible says. But now you have these pastors out in the open, rainbow flags going, promoting abortion in the house of God. Women pastors, that's a no-no in the Bible. Joel Osteen, he claims to know the Bible. Women are not supposed to lead the church, just like they're not supposed to lead the household. You don't have to like what I'm. The same people that will criticize me will tell me that they read the Bible every day. Well, if you read the Bible every day, then you know that's exactly what it says. So it's so funny that all these groups, they have so much respect for all these other countries, but in America, they take everything that is good, that is wholesome, that is loving, and they turn it into a vile, disgusting cesspool. And then you wonder why we have the problems that we do in the United States of America. Let's listen to Nick Fuentes, what he had to say about this. I've been saying this for a very long time. Anybody that knows me knows I've been talking like this forever. Nobody's going to listen to me because obviously I'm not as popular as Nick Fuentes, but Nick Fuentes knocked it out of the park with this one. I wouldn't expect anything less. When you hear this and you all get insulted and you all call me all these names and I'm this and I'm that, tell me which part of what Nick Fuentes said is a lie and tell me which part of what I said is a lie. I'm waiting for that response.
You look at very modern countries in the Middle East, for example, like the United Arab Emirates. People go to Dubai, and this is a hotspot for the world's rich, for entertainers, and a lot of people go there who are pretty secular and pretty liberal. But everybody knows that when you go to Dubai or Riyadh, for that matter, or any of these Gulf countries, which are very wealthy, very modern, technologically sophisticated, and cosmopolitan even, everybody knows the rules. And the rules are you don't disrespect Islam. And the whole country abides by that. And there's laws governing public displays of affection, modesty, all kinds of things. And nobody seems to have a problem because they know they don't mess around there. They take their religion seriously. And when you land at that airport, everybody knows you got to play by those rules. And people seem to be okay with that. But for some reason in America, even the insinuation that you might have something like that for Christ or the church, people say it's the handmaiden's tale. It's Gilead. This is regressive. What is this? The Middle Ages? And maybe I'm more liberal than you. I don't know what the penalties would be specifically, but I think certainly the government needs to enforce some level of morality.
And he's absolutely right. And let me not forget the feminists because they have absolutely no respect for anybody. They hate men. They hate their father. They don't realize they were once the sperm in a man's balls, but that's a whole different video. And it's so funny, like how all these same people, these athletes, that won't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, that disrespect Jesus and Christmas. And they, a lot of athletes, that's why I can't stand a lot of these athletes today. They have no respect for anything, not even themselves. And the level of vileness that you see in America towards Christ and towards Christians and the Catholic Church, these same demonic, vile, disgusting individuals, they'll go to another country and they'll follow all the rules and be good little boys and girls and act like they're so bougie. And then they come back to the greatest country in the world where you're free to do anything. And they have no respect for anything, no boundaries anywhere. It's infuriating. It's disgusting. And it really needs to stop. You could, in this country, you can't talk about any group. You can't talk about the Muslims. You definitely can't talk about Jewish people. You can't talk about Hindus. You can't talk about any of those other groups. But as long as you're attacking Christians and Catholics, whether it's through movies, whether it's through music, and we all know who runs the music and movie industry. So don't tell me they don't run, because they do. We all know who runs the music and movie industry. And you watch these movies and you watch these shows, and it's always an attack on the nuclear family. The white father in the show, he's always a dork, a nerd, out of shape. The family doesn't respect him. They call him names. In these shows and in this music, they attack God and Christianity and Catholics. You get fed the same slop of garbage over and over and over again. And then you have millions of people in America that take this attitude. And it's just like Nick said, they'll go to, a Middle Eastern country and they'll be, good little boys and girls, and they'll put the mask over their face and they'll cover their hair, and, they're having the time of their life. And then they get back to the greatest country in the world and they spit and take a dump in everybody's face. And I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. I'm sick of the vileness. Just like all these other groups demand respect, the Muslims, the Jews, Just the Hindus, how they all want their respect. They want their God respected. Well, I want my God to be respected too. And I want all the nonsense to stop. And the only way it's going to stop, the only way the ADL is going to back off Christmas is if we go back at them. If we say, we don't accept your ways, we start suing them. We start playing the same game that they're playing. I'm absolutely sick of it. Don't ever tell me happy holidays. Ever in your life. You ever bump into me, don't tell me happy holidays. Take that bullshit somewhere else. It's Merry Christmas. And here's another thing. These same idiots that don't want to stand for the flag, they don't have any respect for our churches, they don't want to say Merry Christmas, but they'll accept all these other countries' ways of life and act like it's so prestigious and it's so much better than the American way of life. Well, do us all a favor then. Pack your bags, get on a plane, move to Dubai, move to Afghanistan, do us all a favor and get the F out of here. Because I've absolutely had it. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasiros.